Hi, and welcome to the Bookkeepers Podcast. I'm Zoe Whitman. I'm here with Jo Wood, and we're joined by Wendy Ross from Tonbridge Accountants. Hi, Wendy. How are you?
Hi Zoe. Hi Joe. I'm good. Very well today. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's always lovely to have a chat. I see you on social media all the time. It's like we have to have a chat with Wendy. I know there are a few things we're like, we need to talk to Wendy about that. We need to talk to Wendy about that. So today we wanted to talk about having an ideal client. You've just gone through a rebrand, which has really stood out to me and everything that I've seen. And I thought it'd be really nice to hear from you about that. But Wendy, do you want to start by telling me a bit about your background and why you started your practice?
Yep, sure. Hi, I'm Wendy, and yes, I'd love to share my journey with you all. I've been working in the finance industry for about over a decade, gaining valuable experience at some of the top firms. Like I started off with KPMG, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, doing audit, and then I moved to Ernst & Young in Bermuda. That was from general audit practice to asset management team, and then I met my husband there, and my path took a slight turn, and I moved to the UK here, and I started with HSBC Bank PLC, and I did regulatory work at that time. It was a bit like, I think with what we do, you can pivot quite easily, and it was a bit more of like, what the market wanted. And the boss that was hiring me that time, he was quite an interesting character. He was like, you don't have regulatory background, but you've got the necessary skills that you know how to apply something you learn into something else. So that's fine. That's how I got my start there. And then I had 2 kids, but I think with the bank, there were quite a lot of restructuring going on at the time as well. So the role constantly changed. But my path to starting my own practice was shaped by a personal experience at that time. After I returned from maternity leave, I found myself facing a bit of an ordeal. The workplace that I believe it was quite supportive environment has transformed into a place of adversity. There was a little bit of bullying, sadly, going on, and it made me feel that my dedication to both my career and my children, family, it couldn't coexist. My younger one had medical needs, so there was a lot of instances where my husband, myself, we call each other up and said, "Who's going today? Who's leaving the job to go and pick him up?" And then we had childminder at that time as well, but with allergies, it's so sensitive. We were told like you have to treat them allergens like glitters. That's how sensitive it is. But some people they're not that serious about it. And he got into quite, uncomfortable situations. And I thought at that point, actually, it's quite an easy decision. I had to make sure he was well and put my career aside so that my husband could at least focus and support all of us. So the rigid of demands of the traditional workplace, it clashed with my responsibility being a parent. So I had to explore a different path. And I also remembered it was a question when I came back, and it was said, the question when are you going again for maternity leave? It's like, we're not friends. We can't really have that conversation. And when I asked about where's the progression next, I was told this: the other team members, colleagues who are male, they can put more hours than you can do. How are we going to compete with that? How are you going to compete with that? So it was almost like, how long are you going to be there for? What time you're going to leave versus the outcome, the output. So I think that made it quite easy for me it suddenly changed from a career to a job versus my kids. And it was quite easy for me to just say, oh, I'll leave. And be a mum. So in 2019, I think I spent a lot of time just caring to him. He changed completely from this scrawny little allergic kid who, he did really well. He's amazing now. And I think after about a year or two, 18 months, when I knew I had everything all in place, then I got a bit bored, and I thought it's about time for me to find something instead of waiting till they're 12 or 13. So my he's a chartered accountant as well, same as me. So I thought, oh, I'm going to start a practice so I can get into job share with him without him fully into agreement. So in 2019, I took a leap of faith and I established my own practice. My motivation went beyond just creating a business. It was about crafting a haven for individuals who, like me, we are navigating the delicate balance between professional aspirations and personal responsibilities. I wanted to challenge the norms and provide a platform that acknowledges and accommodates both aspects of life. My mission is clear. I want to empower business owners to make informed decisions with the knowledge and tools. I think when we first started, we saw this gap between our friends, like smaller business owners, where they find themselves too small to go to the big fours. And then they find it quite intimidating as well to walk into the high street firms where, you got all their frosted glass windows and you don't quite know what happens once you go through the door. And these are people who want to do the right thing. They want to make sure they pay enough amount of tax, have good sleep at night, not stressed about things, but they just feel that, do I pay a lot of money and not get that sort of treatment that they deserve, or pay something cheaper but not quite sure if it's going to be the right thing or not. So it was started, I started off with zero number of clients, and it was this handful of friends who thought, I'll give you some, an opportunity and see how you can help us.
Wow. Wendy, what a journey. And my goodness, we're always talking about how these, building a practice kind of finds you at some point, like the need and the want to build a practice comes out of, because we're trying to compromise, because we're trying to, manage something else in our lives. And we're so lucky that we have this knowledge and skill set that it gives us this, but it doesn't make it an easy choice, does it?
No, I think and I'm still finding, I don't have I'm not in the place where I have this great work-life balance yet, but I always tell people, because it's my third or fourth year now but I always tell fellow friends, my family, and I tell them, I say, I'm sort of, if you imagine this, I'm building a vehicle that's going to take me there. It's not overnight. Rome wasn't built overnight. So when people see me, sometimes they say, oh, yeah, if I take my kids have a lot of activities. I'm quite often in the car park when they're playing tennis, doing a bit of bookkeeping or playing emails and things. But, it's not about not being fully in it, but something's got to give. I'm able to take them to do extra things. And I think it's just, sometimes I say, I'm hoping that all this the flexibility comes with a price. When I tried to get some flexibilities from the role that I was in for a long time, I could get it, but then it meant it dented your progression. And then when I left it, and I thought, I'll probably find a different role. And then you start realizing that if you're going to find a 9-to-2 role, you, as a professional, no one's going to take you seriously, and you end up having to do. That's why I see a lot of fellow mums as well. They've given up work, and I speak to them, and some of them have really, really high background qualification roles before they become a mum. And I'm quite often having this little casual chat and say, you can actually do this, and if you start out self-employed, you can, trying to guide them a little bit and say, that fire, you shouldn't put that off, sort of thing, because you can do things as small, get a bit of a comfort zone, because some people are probably happy with, $2,000 a month, some 20,000 a month. It's just finding the sweet spot and the amount of sacrifice that you want to, you want to give.
Oh my gosh, Wendy, I'm furious that you had to make this decision. First of all, it really, really gets me that, I get it. I know, I see it, and I completely believe you that that's what you went through, and that you had, you were forced into doing something for yourself. I feel like for a lot of mums, like you describe, the confidence then gets knocked out of you, doesn't it? And I think that lots of people come and join this community Six-Figure Bookkeepers Club who are like, I haven't done anything for a while because I felt like I couldn't, like you described, I'll look after the kids for a bit where my husband supports us. And I think that happens really regularly. And I love that you've channeled that into, do you know what? I'm going to do it myself. And I think that, you know, the long game is building this business so it can be really flexible for you, and you're not scared of putting the work in now, so you can then shape it. Once you've got that client base, you can shape it so that it's right for you.
And it's constantly changing and evolving. The first time I started my business, it was to help these few friends who wanted to do the right thing. And then also I worked with a stylist, and she had this impact on me where I felt like, wow, you've made a difference in me personally. You've given me confidence. You've given me like, oh, there is actually purpose. There's this little bit of, you know, that self-worth, confidence. But how about if I could help people making that impact individually? Because coming from 3 or 4 huge firms, we were numbers. And if today I didn't feel like providing a regulatory opinion, you know, it's like, I'm not doing it today, I'm doing it tomorrow. It doesn't matter. But to other smaller businesses, or to one person, one individual, say one sole trader, or, you know, one director in a limited company, it makes a difference, because you can, or you know, I have clients who come in and they say, can you help me with tax return? And we help to save that couple like £12,000, and you just there like, that's instant. And I can tell you, I said, you can't buy any Bitcoin, you know, Bitcoins or any investment that could get you overnight returns like that. And when you I think it changed to becoming like, what is your purpose in life? So then it started changing that I want to make more impact. You know, you want to create more impact, you want to bring more value in. And then you also realize that, okay, then I think with everyone else, like when you can make this impact, you want to make bigger impacts, and then you're trying to find scope where. So I think fairly quickly, the business model changed. We realized that the traditional accounting once a year thing, that doesn't work anymore, because you know, we're not really, you don't really feel like you're doing what you set out to achieve. And then it's pulling back, changing your business structure, and say, actually, we're no longer working businesses who requires just that sort of service. I've changed my website about 3 times now. And every time I just feel like, oh, I've outgrown what I believe, or what I think I was going to, you know, what I think I'm going to do. Then obviously the niche came about. But I have clients who they contacted me and said, oh, what does that mean for me? You know, that's this part of the plan. I said, nothing changes. You've not had any communication, but it's at very early stages, but you fit within the niche as well. And I realized that a lot of our clients anyway were within the creative industry. It took a little while to connect them, because it's a niche, but it's still quite a wide thing. So I've got, like, for example, a client who he builds like grand design sort of projects. You could think, oh, he's a construction company, but it's so much more than that. It's very different. And then I've got like jewelry designers client, for example. So, and then that one crosses over to e-commerce. Then you know, it was just trying to connect all that dots between them. But I also feel like from the last couple of years, I just naturally just drawn to this group of people. So it wasn't such like a huge pivot, like, okay, 20% clients, like, you guys are all out now. It wasn't like that.
How did you feel about sort of drawing the line? And like, so just to give people the background, so your niche is how do you describe yourself? Tell me a little bit about how you market the niche, and how you felt just deciding, actually, I'm going to shift.
Yeah, I struggle with who, when I create contents and things, I don't know who I'm going, oh, do I focus on, say, for example, plumbers today, directors of a limited company tomorrow, high net worth individual the next day. I wasn't really sure what I was, how I should, who I should help, or, I mean, based on, what we have. And I decided to, because I work with a mentor as well. So I decided to niche. it took a while to pick, because you naturally then, because we are numbers people, you tend to look at your biggest clients and you're like, okay, is this sector, let's do this. And then you have to ask again yourself, do you enjoy working in that industry? And, you know, I think numbers and like it's always that whole question, profit versus passion. But I think because I have a very supportive husband, and I'm quite lucky because he's enabled me to start this. Still, he's a big source of input and support and help. So he's very good. He allows me to sort of develop the strategic side of business, and then he comes in the whole technical bit and just, you know, and help me out. So we picked creative industries because I've always been quite inclined to art myself. And I think naturally I just feel more comfortable. You can almost try and see, if you say you pick properties, for example, or landlords, and probably almost give yourself a few weeks and pretend you are doing that niche and see how you feel about it. I'm not I don't enjoy that. I don't enjoy dealing with clients from that industry, for example. I have a few, and I know it's not my style, and I don't really intend to develop bigger in that area. So
that's it's really what I'm loving hearing about is, so when you was in the employed role, when you had this job, that was having a massive impact on you and your family and the quality of life. And you've turned this around so that you're now creating positive impacts for people that are in a similar situation. It's just such, like, the way you framed it and the way you talk about it is just so important. And then the fact that actually it's impacting you even better because you're choosing to work with people that resonate with you, your values, your creativity, all of that is just like, wow, like it's such a positive story, which out of something like icky and not nice and a bad experience, you've turned it around. And that's,
I think, like, it's a bit like what James always say, right? Where is the gift? You feel, you know, like James Ashby, I've been very fortunate to get, you know, a bit of his help when I first started. So that's how, as well, with all this learning, I've managed to pivot quite quickly too. And then working, you know, I work with Reza too, and it's very good. You develop very quickly, and you straight work out like, okay, this doesn't work. This doesn't fit with my ethos. I'm going to change, I'm going to leave. It enables us to just move and find the right thing. So I just find, and it takes a while. And then I realized, like, for example, my creative client, I've got like artists, you know, producers. They are, you know, we are all same people, right? I might feel more comfortable with accounting and tax, but that's because I grew up with, I learned it, you know, that's our bread and butter. I get people clients from those industries telling me things like, I'm probably dyslexic, or I can't do numbers either. I always tell them, I said, it's not, it's almost telling them like, it's not a disability. If you gave me a paintbrush, actually paintbrush to me is not a good example because I can paint actually. So, but if you gave me like a screwdriver, or if you got me to change tires, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'd be like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm disabled in that bit. Like I have that challenge where if I see a whole, like they all look the same to me. So I'm trying to tell them that there's not a major shortfall there. We all have different skill sets, and it's just the best bit is just trying to find the right people to actually do, to help out with the areas that you're not. I wouldn't tell them like you can't do it. It's just more that focus on what you are happier doing, and we take care of the stuff that we're happy doing as well.
What's happened with your marketing? So you've obviously chosen this niche, really honed down on it. I've noticed that your social media suddenly went crazy. Like, it had a massive revamp, and I was like, whoa, who is this? And so what happened when you decided, right, this is the niche we're going with? Did you change everything? Did you rebrand? And what sort of jump started your marketing now?
So it took a little while because I wasn't sure, like with Tonbridge Accountants, that that does really well in the sense of like, because of the name SEO and things. I worked hard with the SEO. It comes on the first page, even though I was told that that's never going to come on the first page, but I did it all by myself, no advertisement or anything. So, and then I built Instagram. So I got some followers there, but the temptation was to change the thing to Accountant for Creatives or Makerly, my new brand. Then I would have that followers already. It'd be an easier thing. But my husband, I think because he's also co-owner, and he said, I don't want to, he wants to keep that. And I also think like you might have different people, it's just trying to find more targeted audience. There could be quite a lot of creatives sitting in my original account, but I thought, for me, I'm always up for a bit of challenge, and I thought I'm going to start from scratch, set up the new account. And so I set up an Instagram because I think for creatives, they use a lot of Instagram. That's quite a good, I do get quite a few inquiries from there. And slowly do that shift from my existing clients to say, make sure you follow there. I also set up a Facebook group for creatives, but they're not necessarily my clients. They can be anyone in the within the industry who just feel like they want to have a bit more of a close, supportive platform that they could get help from without actually you got to be a client and things. I did that, and then I also I'm in the process. So I got the brand, I rebrand. So I got a new brand, Makerly, and I'm in the process of doing the website for Makerly. I'm writing it. I've just finished rewriting Tonbridge Accountants one. So this one is a couple of weeks behind, but sometimes it's trying to get almost the perfect happy version versus just one version out. Taking a bit of time, but making sure I get it right, the messaging.
I mean, it's obviously this creativity is being shown, like your passion for it in marketing, because marketing is a very creative task, really, isn't it? And it's funny, I never thought or saw myself as I get told all the time that, oh, you're creative, and I'm like, am I? But I don't. But I see it usually as picking up a paintbrush. But like you were saying, there's so many different ways of like using your imagination and bringing something to life. And this is what you're doing with social media and the business. You've taken something with nothing and you've created something which is obviously creative. You said earlier about the fact that you didn't want to be the traditional accountant once a year, conversation or, an email, whatever. How do you support your clients? What are the services that you offer?
So we focus more on virtual finance office, where I feel that a lot of businesses which are, say, 100,000 to 500,000, for example, they don't necessarily have the amount they can't really afford, a full-time bookkeeper, full-time accountant, full-time CFO. And there's a lot of, it's all through learning, and you see a lot of businesses, they can expand too quickly and then they collapse. It is all from not having any numbers to make the decisions on. So I now try and what works is having, and the clients that we have from when we first started until now, what goes really well is they have regular contacts. I tell my clients that it's better to come and ask us, like, oh, we're thinking of buying a property, or I'm thinking of buying a van. How should I pay, and things like that. We work very closely, providing advice to them. We do the bookkeeping, VAT, payroll. So everything is all interlinked. That means if they want to look into their Xero, they have the up-to-date numbers. And if they need further investment decisions and stuff, they arrange with, we do strategic consultations with our clients, so they can actually work out whether, should I do this buy to let, for example, or not do. But after having that, you get clients who really look at the analysis and work out actually that's not what they want to do, and then they change to something else. But I always feel that I always advise them, you guys know, there's so much to do when you're proactive versus you come to us after a year after your accounts finish, and we tend to communicate like, we should have done this, should have done that, and that sort of conversation, it just didn't appeal to me. And I say, if we want to allow business owners to make informed decisions, they need to have this. Is non-negotiable. And I'm stepping away from doing once a year. I think I've got out of everything. I'm in the process of exiting a few more, but it doesn't work. And also, when they say I'll do my own bookkeeping, it does not work. There's so many things that they can't record and they don't know how to, and the cost of unwinding everything, it's horrific. We just want to, you want to have positive conversation, positive work environments, and situations like this, you just know when they're going to end up with.
What do you, for anyone who's watching this, who's thinking, I think I need to think more about, like you really understand your client, you really understand what is going through their head, what's happening in their business, what they're stuck with, how you help them. And I think that we don't always do this well. Like if we build a business, because we're like, right, I just need clients, which is a conversation we have quite a lot of people. How do I find clients? But you've really done that groundwork on like, who are they? Where are they? What do I help them with? And I think that takes you to that next level, and it's helped you redefine the brand. Who do I speak to? What's my niche? What do I need to change about my website? What would you say to someone else who's maybe earlier on their journey and they're building a client base at the moment, in terms of thinking ahead? Maybe they don't want to have a niche now, but they want to start planning for it. What can they learn from the journey that you've been on to sort of give them a head start?
I think you need to know your mission statement first, what you're out for personally and the business, and then you work out. I think mine has been a bit of like a, trip and fall and pick up again, learn a bit, and like, oh, that didn't really fit. I'm going to get a t-shirt size bigger, and then go back small and stuff, change pattern and things. But I would really work out on, the mission, what you set out, and business wise as well. Like, how big do you need the business to go? How many hours you've got? I think where I'm not very good at is not having any limitations. I just carry on. I take on a lot of stuff, and then I don't actually, I feel like I need to have a pipeline. But the last few months I've actually reset and work out, like, I think you need to have this is my mission statement. These are, if you haven't got a niche or who you want to work with, you need to work out who your ideal clients, in terms of like, what are they like? What kind of behavior or what sort of person are they? Because discovery calls, the last few, quite a number of discovery calls I had recently, I've just turned down and said, we are not going to be working together, full stop. Because I pick up, to me, if you hit 3 red flags, I'm like, that's enough. We don't have to explore that working together. It's not even about the price, because that no amount of money is going to make me put up with a client who's going to, it's going to be basically a pain in the ass client. That's my no tolerance. That's just, I had a conversation where I was asked, basically I knew they were going to be difficult, and they said, oh, I want to know how much your fees are. And I said, we don't do that until we look into your books, for example. And he said, oh, I've got a bookkeeper. I said, okay, what's your system? Does she use software? I don't know, but she's great. Assume the best. How would you price me on that? I give you a turnover, I give you that. To me, I would quite tempted, honestly, to say, why don't you run my business? Because you probably know better than I do. I said to them, whether I'm 500 a month or a $5, it's irrelevant, because we're not going to be working together.
Love it. Bold. But no, you know what you want, like, what's going to be the right fit for you and your business.
So I have, I think it also makes, like, when I try and support like business clubs or networking, I get people who, because they've seen me talk or they see me interact, had this lady who came and said, oh, can I hire you? And I asked a few details, and she was like, and I said, oh, no, I don't deal with that area. Oh, could you? No, because then I'm going to have like 27 niche, right? And I said, no, it's very tempting to just, oh, actually we can expand on that, but having a firm line and feel that, narrow and deep, rather than we just go broad and like, oh, I can take on a bit more. The temptation is always there, but I think just because I can be a bit of a butterfly as well, just hopping around, but I was like, no, this is what I'm doing. If you sort of somehow fit within creative, that's perfect. And I also get people asking me questions like, I'm quite small, but I'm creative. Will it be too small for you? And I say one common thread my clients have, the client that's paying the highest and the lowest, it's not about the size of the business or how much they pay me. They have one thing in common. They're really, really nice people, and I want to help them do the right thing and achieve their goals.
Yeah, I think that the narrow and deep is it, isn't it? Like, if you know that, you can I suppose sort of sense check yourself all the time, and that's really important to remember. Wendy,
creative clients as well, they get a bit like almost this maze, and they feel like accountants are like scary people, but quite often my clients would be like, I get texts like, can we get a coffee, can we meet and stuff, and they honestly, they enjoy it, and they just feel like, oh, it's so much calmer now, no, you've put me at ease, and that's quite a nice testament almost to me, like we're doing the right thing.
Yeah, I think that's it. You want to be able to have a good conversation with your clients, them feel comfortable, you feel comfortable. It just works so much better. And I think that, reining yourself in on not saying yes to everything is a really good strategy to have as you grow. I've learned so much. I think we could talk about this. I think we could have a coffee and we could talk about this all day. Thank you ever so much for sharing, Wendy. How can people connect with you, see all of your amazing Instagram posts as well? Where's the best place for people to connect with you and find out more about you?
Instagram, Accountant for Creatives. I had to think then, but yeah, Accountant for Creatives. I'm not very good at all at LinkedIn. I always find it like I have a bit of that thing, you guys can probably advise, but when you feel like you put out something and you feel like, oh my God, they are all going to judge me, it's a bit personal, not enough business, there's no this, there's no that, I think maybe that one I get a bit too fearful, whereas on Instagram it's quite natural. I'm quite happy chatting away in stories. I'm also trying to put out more content in terms of trying to help out. I think starting, you don't quite, because this is our bread and butter, we always feel that we already know this, is quite common knowledge, and I'm learning as well, trying to say actually a lot of people don't know certain things, and trying to create more and put more out there, but more focused and more tailored, so that hopefully it can, it's not about selling or getting another client, but hopefully it just creates that awareness that they're missing out by not taking this action or by not knowing this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Wendy, thanks for chatting to us today. Thanks everyone who's listened to the podcast, and we will see you next week for another episode of the Bookkeepers Podcast. Take care. Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for having me.